There are two people living inside you. One wakes up before the alarm. The other one presses snooze. One keeps promises. The other negotiates with them. One chooses discomfort because they understand that growth lives on the other side of resistance. And the other searches for comfort because comfort asks nothing in return. The strange part is, neither one is stronger than the other. They are simply fed differently. Most people believe their life changes because of one massive decision. A life really changes that way. It changes because of breakfast, because of the first thought you entertain after waking up, because whether you pick up your phone or your purpose, because of the conversation you avoid, because of the workout you skipped, because of the book you never opened, because of the apology you never give, because of the business you never start. Every one of those decisions is food. Every action feeds someone. Imagine there were two wolves standing beside you every morning. One represented discipline while the other represented distraction. One represented courage while the other represents fear. One represents ownership while the other represents excuses. Now imagine every decision you make places food inside one of their bowls. When you wake up and you immediately scroll social media, you feed distraction. When you avoid difficult conversations, you feed fear. When you blame your circumstances, you feed excuses. When you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, you feed procrastination. The frightening part, you don't notice the wolves changing. Because growth is quiet. One becomes silently larger, while the other becomes slightly weaker. Not overnight, over years. Eventually, the wolf you've been feeding no longer walks beside you. It leads you. That's why people seem disciplined. They didn't suddenly become disciplined. They simply been feeding discipline for years. The same is true for confidence. Confidence isn't magic. Confidence is accumulated evidence. Every promise you keep tells your mind something. I can trust you. Every difficult thing you complete becomes another meal for the strongest identity. People often ask, how do I become more motivated? I think that's the wrong question. Motivation is temporary. Identity is permanent. Instead, ask yourself, who am I feeding today? Because if you feed discipline, discipline eventually feeds you. It feeds your confidence, it feeds your opportunities, it feeds your relationships, it feeds your future. But if you continue feeding distractions, distractions eventually consumes everything else. Your focus, your ambition, your health, your purpose. Until one day, you wake up wondering where your life went. Nothing dramatic happened. There wasn't one catastrophic mistake. You simply spent years feeding the wrong version of yourself. The wrong person. Imagine walking into a garden. On one side, a beautiful tree stretches towards the sky. Its roots are deep. Its branches are strong. Its fruits feeds generations. On the other side, a field of weeds covers everything. You don't have to water weeds. They grow on neglect. The tree is different. It requires attention. Discipline is the same. Negativity grows naturally. Resentment grows naturally. Excuses grows naturally. Comfort grows naturally. Purpose must be cultivated. Character must be cultivated. Wisdom must be cultivated. The person you dream of becoming doesn't appear because you imagine them long enough. They appear because you nourish them consistently. Every page you read, every workout you finish, every honest conversation you have, every promise you refuse to break, every uncomfortable action you choose, those are not isolated events. Those are meals. And eventually, the identity you've been feeding becomes impossible to ignore. One day you will look inside the mirror and realize you no longer have to force discipline because discipline becomes you. You no longer have to chase confidence. Confidence becomes you. You no longer have to search for purpose. Purpose became the way you live. Because the opposite is equally true. If you feed fear, fear becomes your personality. If you feed comfort, comfort becomes your prison. If you feed excuses, excuses become your language. Life is consistently asking one question. Who are you feeding? Not once, every hour, every conversation, every habit, every decision. The beautiful thing about today, that it doesn't matter who you've been feeding for the past 10 years. Because the next decision can feed someone different. One workout, one page, one difficult phone call, 1 hour without distraction, one promise kept. That's all it takes to begin changing the diet of your identity. Transformation isn't an event, it's nutrition. The strongest version of you isn't waiting somewhere in the future. They're sitting quietly inside of you, hungry, waiting for today's decision. So before you make your next choice, ask yourself one question. Who eats because of this decision? Because whoever you continue feeding will eventually become the one living your life. Your future is watching. Keep the promise.